And we should now be live. Good evening, everybody. I'm just going to quickly check OBS. OBS looks fine. Good. And I shall put some music on in the background for us. Lovely jubbly. Excellent. How are we all doing? Hello, Joshua. How has everyone's Sunday been? My Sunday didn't start particularly well, but I'm getting there. Hello, JJ and Pictus. Oh, I'm just going to give people a couple more minutes just to sidle in. Folks that are already here, you can be thinking about merry early Christmas to you too, Burger. In fact, I'm already thinking, given that our next Sunday will be Christmas Eve, I think I'm going to do a extra long stream. So we'll start at the normal time, but we'll go all the way up to midnight, so I can wish you all a Merry Christmas from the UK. You're on your Christmas break, Joshua, and you're doing your Christmas shopping tomorrow. Lovely. Leaving it to last minute, eh? I feel like I let my fans down this year because I didn't upload what I planned. Well, don't be too harsh on yourself. I was looking back at the things that Triclaw Gaming wanted to achieve this year, and we didn't do as many collabs as I would have wanted, and we didn't figure out what shorts to make yet. But, you know, you can't judge yourself too harshly. If you've enjoyed the content you've made this year, and you feel like you've put something out that you can be proud of, then that's all that counts to me, at least. You did all your shopping in November, Turbo Soul. Excellent. Oh yeah, Christmas is giving me many ideas for a pack. Right, yeah, so let's get started on what the point of today is. I want to think about 2024 for Jurassic World Evolution 2, because we're pretty guaranteed, I think, that we're going to keep having development. At least 2 more DLCs, I think, at the very least. And I think instead of doing what I did at the beginning of this year, which is make a video on what I think Jurassic World needs to focus on in the year, I thought I'd open it up to you guys. Now, if you are going to suggest something, do be aware that, you know, I'm going to be quite strict with this. You can't just shout random dinosaurs at me. I want crisp, well thought out, justified ideas, okay? So, start putting your ideas in chat and I'll add them to our board here. So Pictus says, I would love lagoon tunnels that could allow marine species to move between 2 different lagoons. So I think that's a really good concept. How would you see that coming, Pictus? Would you see that coming as a free update or as part of a DLC? How would you think about that coming? Yes, and you can, Burger. Feel free to start putting stuff in chat, but just remember, I'm going to be asking you questions. So, Kairu says, an aviary-themed DLC similar to how we got a lagoon-based DLC. Okay, so that's a pretty clear one that we can add in here. So, let's get that one added in. Oh, that's way too big. Jesus. An aviary DLC. Okay, so, Kairu, what is your aviary DLC going to have in it? And let's just have a thing. Let's see, let's have a thing out here for this sort of thing. A Manticore expansion. So Untamable King, hello. Justify why a Manticore is... So I have not watched Camp Cretaceous, okay? I know nothing about Camp Cretaceous, nothing about Manticore. Justify to me why we need a Manticore expansion, okay? That's your job for the next few minutes. We obviously need Freddy Fazbear in the game. Freddy Fazbear makes everything better, Braint. So Pictus says a free update for his idea. Okay, so we'll add this as our first free update. So if this is coming as part of a free update, Pictus, is this free update going to be looking at other things related to the lagoons, or is the lagoon tunnel just one part of a bigger free update? I'm going to create another offshoot here for this one. And let's put this up here. So lagoon tunnels that connect lagoons together. And we'll put this in black and shrink it down slightly. There we go. And we'll put the zoom up so that we can see what we are doing. I'd love to see a Cambrian style aquarium. Yeah, Joshua, I would love to see animals like a Nomalocaris in the game as well. I'm not sure how that would work, because Cambrian animals are generally quite small. So I think you'd need some sort of small exhibition system like Planet Zoo has. The problem is I just don't see them adding that to the game this late on through development. Okay, my idea is an expansion called the Jurassic Park Arctic expansion, which is going off the idea from the first movie of stuff like Jurassic Park Europe. Okay, so this one we can put in, we'll put a new thing in here for an expansion. We'll put another one in down here. So Arctic. I mean, we'll actually call this Jurassic Europe, because you do mention a good point here. And like I say, this is not a wish list. Like this is things we think that could legitimately come and could be justified. And like you mentioned, Barger, they were planning to have Jurassic Parks in Europe, so I think we can justify a DLC like that through that. We could possibly get also the Aviary DLC. We're thinking of having Hatsiogopteryx. Oh, hang on, I'm gonna end up losing that. Rhamphorhynchus. Pterodus. Okay, you've got Pterodastrudo here. Or Dastro. How is that going to eat? Archaeopteryx. Because obviously that's a filter feeding pterosaur. So if you have Pterodastro here, you're going to have krill or shrimp feeders in there. I'm going to put that as an inner question mark, because you need to justify these things. A novel expansion could be cool, specifically because of the Jungle River Ride, Teratops Lodge, Microceratus, Ornitholestes, Big Dilophosaurus, and Camouflage Carno. That is a very, very clear expansion. So let's put this one down here as well, and we're going to put this as novel expansion. So I honestly think a novel expansion is one of the most likely ones that we're probably going to get, just because there is quite a lot in the novel that hasn't been looked at yet. And as you said, Braint, there's so many things that we could have in here that would definitely add. So let's list down some of these things in a novel expansion. A river ride. I think a river ride would be difficult to do with the way water works in the game, but not entirely impossible. Teratops Lodge could be an interesting, unique building that could be attached to the aviary. So again, I think that's fine. We could definitely have Microceratus as part of that. We could definitely have Ornitholestes as part of that. Novel Dilo cosmetic could easily be part of that, and Camo Carno. The Camo Carno I see is probably being a genetic option, like they've got for the Indominus Rex. I would think it's probably going to be the easiest way of doing that. By the way, I am trying to keep up with chat, but remember, I'm always going to be a little bit behind, folks. So if I were to do an aviary DLC, I'd feature... Ah, okay, so we've got a different idea for an aviary DLC. But it seems to be... There is a general belief that we need one. Why? I'm curious. Someone who suggested an aviary DLC. Why do we think we need one? I'm curious. So you think Meganura? Okay. Ramphorhynch again. Pterodastro again, and Microraptor. That's an interesting one. And you'd have the Teratops Lodge here as a new building. Interesting. Oh, also walking and social animations for the pterosaurs. Well, that's kind of part of the free update, really, isn't it? So I think we could put that as an alternative free update here. Actually, let's not do it here. Let's do it above the DLCs. Let's put it up here. And let's do, let's call this free updates linked to DLCs. So these are sort of free updates that have a very direct connection to DLCs. So let's put this one down here. And this is, so pterosaurs need to walk and have socials. I think we could probably say that any aviary DLC that should be there. Like if you're gonna have an aviary DLC, I think any of them should automatically have that done. Species included in Jurassic Europe. So let's go with Jurassic Europe here. Nanook. I think Nanooksaurus is one of those that I think could be quite easily done given the feathers that we now have in game. And Tarkta Pelta. Yeah, again, I think that's reasonable. Coolosuchus. Okay, Barger, I'm gonna want to know how you're going to implement Coolosuchus. Inostransevia. Instrosventia. I always struggle with that one. And mammoths. Okay. Maybe rock-like stands, like in the Jurassic World Evolution 1 aviary. Where would you be putting that one? No worries, Raptor King. I assume most people were with Evo. And like I say, folks, don't worry if I don't instantly respond to your message. I am slightly behind you all, and I am having to obviously go through these quite carefully. For other lagoon updates, I would say add a kelp coral seagrass brush, which everyone has been asking for. Yeah, I think that's... So I think this would just be part of a lagoon update, really. And I think we can add that. So lagoon foliage brushes, because everyone's been asking for them. And, you know, we've had Utah on that because everyone has asked for them, so that's very easily justifiable. Barger is continuing with his Jurassic Europe idea, so 2 new maps, so a Russia map. I'm going to put a question mark next to that, Barger, for obvious reasons. Obvious political reasons. And a Greenland map. So, so they would both be Taiga, I think, in that case. Being able to connect land lagoons to, or being able to connect land to lagoons, semi-aquatics for the free update, Raptor King. So Raptor King, again, while I think that would be a really good idea, the problem is that would require a complete change to the terrain tools, which at this late stage of development, entirely unrealistic to expect. It's just not possible. If you think about how the terrain tools work in the game right now, if they changed the terrain tools, they would have to basically rebuild the engine. There's no way they're going to do that for an update. The Manticore expansion would add missing Camp Cretaceous species such as the Smilodon and the Spinoceratops. Also missing Camp Cretaceous skins such as the Burnt Toro skin and the CC Spino and the Elite. The problem I have, Untamable King, is we've already had a Camp Cretaceous DLC, and we've already had the Tarbo get added to a completely different DLC. Do we really need another Camp Cretaceous DLC pack for a couple of 2 species and 2 skins? I don't think there's enough there. If you're going to have it as an expansion, it needs to be a lot more than just a couple of species and a couple of skins. We need the ability to disable hitboxes and change the watercolor. I've just missed that. People are adding so many ideas that we need the ability to change hitboxes and change the watercolor of the lagoons. I think changing the color of the water, I think it should be reasonably easy to do with the way that the lagoons are set up at the moment. The ability to disable hitboxes, I don't think Frontier would ever do that for Jurassic World Evolution 2. Animals for Europe DLC could include Torvosaurus, Myragaea, Tethi, Shadros, and Ophthalmosaurus. So that's more of a species pack, really, isn't it? So, whoops, let's add this one into here as a species pack. And again, we could just call it a European species pack. And we've got what? Torvo, Myrigaea, Tethishadros, and Opthal. Yeah, I think those are good species, possibly. And I don't think they would be too difficult to add into the game. The Opthal, you're just going to end up using the Ichthyosaur rig on, so it wouldn't be too difficult for them to achieve any of those. And a new campaign where it takes place in the 1990s, where your goal is to build successful parks across Europe and the Northern Hemisphere. So the Jurassic Europe expansion would also come with campaign missions. Okay. For Pterodastro, there could be a shrimp feeder. Another suggestion I'd give is Meganura in an aviary DLC. So, is it reasonable for them to add a whole new feeder just for one animal? That would be a question I would consider. Barger is suggesting new decorations, so Christmas trees, Russian building style. A Russian building style, interesting, and a communication center. Okay, so I think the Russian building style is interesting. Again, Barger, it sounds good, but I do question the elements of adding Russian stuff in, again, because of current political matters that are going on. Jurassic World Evolution 2 has to have this dinosaur in Mongolia. Microceratus and Protoceratops, says Matthias. So he's suggesting a... Let's move some bits up here. He's suggesting a Mongolia DLC, which is a good one because there are a lot of Mongolian animal species. But Matthias, you've only got 2 there, and we need 4. So, can you provide another 2? Microceratus, Protoceratops. Again, I think Protoceratops is one of those popular species that people ask a lot for, so I think that's easily justifiable. A Japan expansion would be great. It could primarily feature Japanese architecture and Japanese animals. So, yeah, let's put in a possibility here. Jurassic World Japan. Because, I mean, I think they could recycle a lot of that from Planet Zoo. And this would obviously be new maps, building style, decks, etc. Again, try not to make these sort of wish listy. We want to kind of stick to things that we think the game absolutely 100% needs. Avian DLC to come with a bunch of new updates. Social walking. Yeah, we've already got that down, Pictus. Free update accompanying the Manticore expansion would add attractions from Camp Cretaceous like the River Cruise, Jurassic World, Raptor Paddock, T-Rex Kingdom, Gondola Ride, and Hang Gliders. But again, that's not really Manticore stuff, is it? Because the River Cruise and the Raptor Paddock in the T-Rex Kingdom, that's Jurassic World. So again, I don't think you could really attach that to a Manticore expansion. An upgrade I wanted for Jurassic World Evolution to the dinosaurs from Mongolia. Yeah, I've got the species, Matthew, so I need 2 more. you've only got Microceratus and Protoceratops there, so we need 2 more species. As much as I would love a Cenozoic pack, there's simply so many species that it's hard to pick which species. I agree, Pictus. Box fee, I personally see a free update including skins for Triceratops 1993, Ankylosaurus 2001, Brachiosaurus 1993, 65 million years ago Rex, and Parasaurolophus 2022. That's a very good idea, actually. I think that's very highly likely too. So let's put this one as in here in the free update. I do think it's very likely that at some point we're going to get more skin cosmetics. And let's put down these. So that was the 65 million years ago Rex. Trike 93 I think is definitely should be done. Ankylo 2001, not sure. Same as the Brachy 93. I'm not really sure they can really improve them that much. Para 2022 though, definitely think there's some options in there to make them much nicer. Let's just squish this down a little bit. Move these around so we've got plenty of space. Nanooksaurus is from Alaska though. I'm assuming that's in relation to Jurassic Europe, so we might have to get rid of Nanooksaurus. An aviary DLC can also add the rock walkways from Jurassic Park 3 in the free update. Well, as placeable, as a placeable attraction, Untamable King. Raptor King has just said Irritator, but hasn't explained why. Irritator, yeah. Coolosuchus could just work on a similar rig to the Cenozoics. Oh, okay. So we'll put Notho next to it. Makes sense. I wish that Nothosaurus could jump out of the water onto the land where land dinos are. Yeah, see, again, I think we can't really do that with the way that terrain works. Better terrain modification for aviaries. That would require a whole rewrite of the code, Pictus, so again... lagoons connected to land would be better for a Jurassic World 3. I agree. Tylosaurus, let's add a skin from Jurassic Park game that I remember as well. So the Telltale Jurassic Park, the game skin, they would never be able to add that because they don't own the rights to it. So that would be something that would not be doable. As much as I love that particular design of the Tylosaurus, it's not theirs to use. They wouldn't be able to get it. Change the Russia map to Sweden. That's a little bit more approachable. One thing is that none of these are European animals. My suggestion for a Europe expansion is interesting. Alternative animals coming up here for Europe. So Rabdodon. I mean, you could also have instead of Rabdodon, you could also have oh, I've forgotten its name. You know the one I mean. I'm just gonna say that. Pitinosaurus. Yeah, Pitino could go in there. Pelicanimus, Mimus, and Dacosaurus. Okay, so they're actual European species. I think an African savanna map would be really nice, i.e. Botswana or Kenya. I mean, I think there should have been a savanna biome in the game from the begin with, but I think this late in development, I just think it's unlikely we're now going to get a whole new biome. Another suggestion for Europe expansion is to feature Victorian style buildings. Ugh. Unless you mean like all the exposed metal girdering and stuff. Which is more Edwardian style buildings. Because Victorian buildings were not particularly nice to look at sometimes. Yeah, I will admit the Jurassic Park Europe expansion is just more animals suited to the colder climates. Yeah. If you got an early and late Cretaceous DLC, an early Jurassic, late Jurassic, and Triassic DLC would be plausible. Well, I'm going to add this one in here because I know Evo and that have been going on about a Cretaceous herbivore DLC, but I really don't want one. I honestly think the game needs a Triassic DLC more than it needs Cretaceous. So if someone has some options for species for that, go right ahead and give me them. A hybrid DLC is a nice idea, possibly bringing back the Spinoraptor, Stegoceratops and Ankylodocus with a better looking face and adding a long requested hybrid, the Ultimasaurus. I know why you want that one, Untamable King. Yeah, the hybrids, the missing hybrids, that's worthy of a discussion somewhere. Let's put that one in here as well. Missing hybrids. Let's just put that one in there. Other Mongolian species could be Tarchia and Mononychus. That's some good options in there. Tarchia and Mononychus, I think, would be a good one because obviously they could give it feathers. So that would be 4 decent species, I think. Perhaps a in park dinosaur introductions like JPOG for immersion purposes. We already have introductions set by characters, but in park would be nice. Yeah, I mean, I liked those JPOG ones as well, Godzilla. But again, I just don't think it's likely at this point in development that they're going to record whole new lines and stuff for every single animal now in the game. So Triassic DLC, we've got Platyosaurus. I think Platyosaurus has to be there. Postosuchus, maybe. I mean, I know it's famous because of walking with dinosaurs, but outside of that, same with Placerius. Outside of walking with dinosaurs, it's just not that well known. A prosauropod pack including Eoraptor. Eoraptor isn't a prosauropod, Barga. Platyosaurus is, Massospondylus is, but Eoraptor definitely isn't. I had a good idea for animals in Cenozoic, which could be in Jurassic World Evolution, Mammoth, Paraceratherium, Smilodon. Does the game need Cenozoic animals? I'm gonna catch up with what everyone has said, so no one give any more suggestions now, just to allow me to catch up. But what people can say in chat, I would like all of you to either say yes or no that we need Cenozoic animals and why. Okay, so that's all I want to see in chat. Let me catch up with people's suggestions. That's a good idea. I like that idea. I do like the idea of a like Paleozoic pack. because it would contain animals that a lot of people would want, like the Gorgonopsids, and we've seen that they are perfectly willing to add animals that are popular. So Gorgonopsids, Edaphosaurus would not be difficult to add in. Helicoprion is an interesting suggestion. Tylosaurus skin 2017 can't be done, Matthias. I've just explained why. Fletcher, I think it would be better to add the rock walkways as a decoration to make a single aviary look more pleasing. It would also add a height element to the area. So we could add that to our any aviary DLC. We can have a rock walkway decks. Let's just put decks. So yeah, that could be an interesting another addition. Could be Irritator for the Europe DLC. Ah, I see. Okay, Irritator for a Europe DLC. And Scolidosaurus. Okay, so I'm going to put these as possible other options for the European DLC. So we've got Scolidosaurus. I love Scolidosaurus. I always thought it looks kind of cute. And Irritator. Novel expansion could have 2 maps, Nublar and Sorlin 1989 in fact, as they're described as really small islands. The maps could be entire islands, it could be slightly smaller than the square maps. Whole islands, but smaller than square maps. Okay. On my Europe concept expansion, my idea for the building set was a medieval looking style buildings. Oh, I like that. Okay, so medieval style. An old Italy map would be cool for Europe DLC. It kind of already got that with Malta. Jurassic World Evolution 2 needs an Alaska expansion. My personal take, since I'm from Alaska, log cabin style would definitely be an interesting look. Maybe. I mean, it's a bit wish listy because I don't think there's any sort of explanation as to why we would have a Jurassic World Alaska expansion. There's no, mention of a Jurassic World Alaska or anything, so. Actually, I agree with Jurassic Tyrant King. Remove Nanuqsaurus from the Europe expansion in favor of Hapsigotrix. I see. So you would remove Nanook and have. Ooh, what happened there? And you'd have Hapsigotrix instead. Okay. Missing hybrids as a pack again to buy would be a waste of a pack. The missing hybrids should be added for free. Okay, so we'll discuss that as well, Diablo. We'll come back to that one in a second. I just want to catch up with what people have said about having Cenozoic. Right now I see on this screen walking pterosaurs, which is probably impossible. I don't think having pterosaurs walking is impossible as Darkaday. If you look at their release animations, most of them already have walking animations, so I don't think it's impossible. Remember, people saying just no to Cenozoic animals, I want explanations. I'm kind of on the fence. So, okay, so I think I finally caught up to the argument here. So let me catch up. I'm kind of on the fence when it comes to Cenozoic life. I'd love to see them, but there's other creatures from the Mesozoic and Paleozoic that need attention. I agree. Maybe it's a bit strange it would add a different system other than the eggs, but a mammoth fighting a Rex would still be cool as hell. See, I think that's part of the problem, Barger. I think the reason people want Cenozoic animals is for spectacle reasons and not for any real in-game reason. They just want to see a mammoth fighting a T-Rex or a Smilodon hunting a Triceratops. It's just for spectacle. And I just don't think it gels very well. I don't think Jurassic World Evolution 2 needs Cenozoic animals, but I would really like them if they were added. Thank you, hello. Don't forget, if you are new, because I am seeing a few names I haven't seen before, don't forget to like and also subscribe for more content from Triclaw Gaming. I always tend to forget to ask people to do that during streams. I know, Asdark Day, my typing can be a bit off at times, but I'm, again, typing quickly so I can keep up with chat. Crystal Palace dinosaur statues for Europe DLC. I love that idea, Godzilla, actually. I love that idea. Crystal Palace dino statues. I love that idea. Considering they're a British company, Frontier, they could actually go and probably laser scan them so they could be 100% accurate as well. I really love that idea. I want the 5 deaths from the first game. Okay, Quackers, we'll think about anything further. I just want to stick with this question of Cenozoic animals. Cenozoic animals are necessary? No, but neither is Archelon or Dunkleosteus. Okay, so I think we've answered generally the gist that Cenozoic animals we don't think are necessary. I do want to go back to this question of the missing hybrids though. So again, before we have any more suggestions of things, let's look at this question of the missing hybrids. So do we bring back the if the missing hybrids? Okay, first question. Hang on, let's do it properly. First question: does the game absolutely 100% need? I mean, imagine we only have 2 more DLCs. Okay, should one of those be devoted to those missing 3 hybrids and or more new hybrids coming to the game? That's question 1. So let's answer that question first. Okay, so Untamable King is obviously of the argument that no, I don't care how good they look, the idea of hybrids was and always will be atrocious. Barger is a man after my own heart, because I do agree with him, but so it should not be done as a DLC. Hybrids are the worst. Matthias, you're kind of ignoring what I'm saying here about not coming up with new ideas until we get a few other things discussed. I don't think there needs to be a hybrid DLC. There's other more important creatures in our past that deserve attention. Couldn't care less for new hybrids being added. I probably wouldn't buy a hybrid DLC unless it comes with a cool gameplay mechanic. Okay, so I think the general argument is not a DLC. In that case, do we want them to come as a free update? So Untamable says they should come as a free update. Hybrids tend to be a bit hit or miss. Some look really cool, some look really, really ugly. The old hybrids, yes, unlikely but preferable. Hybrid creation tool with about 20 combinations. I love the idea, JJ Games, and it was something I would have done, and I discussed this in my if I was CEO of Frontier video. I just don't think at this point in development they would add that. It would take way too much work. So I think giving us the 3 missing hybrids is, I think, a little more likely. But of course it would only be the 3 missing species. So we'd have no new ones, but we would get the missing species. So there's some parity with Jurassic World Evolution 1. No, not really. Realistically, if they were going to be in the game, they should have been there at launch. Well, a lot of things should have been there at launch, Barger, but came later on, so that's not really an argument against them. I would rather have Ostroraptor over Spinoraptor and Cenozoic over Ankylodocus. Yeah, I mean, there are species I would rather have Saltosaurus than Ankylodocus. And I would rather have... What would I rather have instead of Spinoraptor? I'd probably rather have Irritator or... I mean, I would have Protoceratops over Spinoraptor, frankly. For me, what we could do is a hybrid expansion with a new campaign, the maps of Jurassic World Evolution 1, 4 new hybrids, new decorations and buildings, and the old hybrids would come for free. Ooh, Diablo, that's a brave. Do you think that the game absolutely needs? Because remember, this is not wish listing. We're thinking about things that the game absolutely needs. Do you think a hybrid-focused expansion like Wu's Secrets of Dr. Wu DLC, do we think that's absolutely necessary? I mean, something that nobody has spoken about yet is... sort of system, changes to things that are already in the game to greatly improve them from a quality of life position. Is kelp on the list of things? So we did suggest we need lagoon foliage brushes. There needs to be another lagoon update, I think, to bring in some missing lagoon features. A balloon tour could be good for either an expansion or a free update. I mean, yeah, I agree. There needs to be... There needs to be a... So I'm going to put this over here because I'm not sure whether it be a free update or whether it would be... I'm just going to put this as Fletcher's thoughts. I'm not sure it would be a DLC or a free update. And we're just going to call this... So we need a new building set. That for me, I think, is a really fundamental thing. We need a new building set, and it should come with possibly a new attraction. And I think this building set, I think it should be... Buildings must be aimed at a tourist park. Whoops, tourist park. Not a facility park. Because the other building sets we've got, they're all facility park options. And should include a new attraction. And we'll put here, I mean, balloon tour. You know, I think some sort of aerial tour would be quite easy to implement because a lot of the assets for it kind of already exist. We've already got like helicopters and landing pads and stuff. So all you really need to do is add some sort of pathing system, which is relatively easy. So I think some sort of aerial tour is definitely required. I would say it's 100% required. Like, Jurassic World Evolution 1 not having it, kind of understandable. Jurassic World Evolution 2 not having any sort of attraction that takes advantage of the air or the lagoons, 100% no forgiveness for that. There's absolutely no reason why they can't do it. A Brazil DLC. So Matthias, again, we're talking about not wishlisting. We're talking about why it's 100% necessary. I don't think a Brazilian DLC is 100% necessary. Have the guests sit on benches and use the trash cans. Yeah, okay, so that's a very simple thing. Guest interaction. Definitely. So guests should use benches, trash cans, etc. And I also think as part of that guest interactions, you could also add other things to that. So education boards. You could add like viewing stands or even viewing paths to that. And again, I think it's 100% necessary. There's absolutely no reason why guests should not interact with benches. Planet Zoo and Planet Coaster has this. Jurassic Park Operation Genesis has this. There is fuck all point having benches in the game if guests aren't going to interact with them. Also, Dane says good night, everyone. He's just come back from his Christmas party, but he just wanted to pop in to see me before he went to bed.
Not all.
2001 male velociraptors as a variant would be nice. Ooh, I like that idea. I mean, I'm going to put the JP3 raptors in general, because I would really also like to see the female skin as being something that we could change to. It would be a game changer, Brain, but again, I just don't see it coming at this late stage of the game. I think that would require some coding change. I mean, something... So, people have wondered why. So I'm actually going to, like... Let's take a brief break. Because I want to go over a theory with you guys. People have been wondering why Jurassic World Evolution and Jurassic World Evolution 2, why Frontier didn't go for the same building system as Planet Zoo and Planet Coaster, where you don't have a hitbox. Now, for a long time, I was puzzled about this myself, until I started thinking about how poorly Jurassic World Evolution 2 runs on console and on PC. And I think the fact the game, it's running so badly that they don't want to have a system where people can build really intricately and excessively. The hitbox is there to try to maintain the game's frame rate, essentially. I think the lack of optimization is why we don't have hitboxless building. That's my theory. Free update with the lagoon, kelp and coral brush, truck tours to go into... Truck tours able to go into the water? JJ, you don't mean like the tour trucks being able to go into the lagoons, do you? Placeable vehicle decorations would be nice. They would be nice. I mean, I've also maintained that. I don't see... We'll put it as a new possible free update. Placeable vehicles. I think having the option to place vehicles wherever we like, even if it was just a couple of them. Ranger Jeeps, JP Tour Jeeps, JP Chopper, Vet Vehicle. Like, even if we just had the option to place them, like, I think that would give people some interesting ideas of things they could do. Waterfalls. At this point in development, probably not as dark a day. I think if waterfalls were to come, it would have to be a completely new game. I know Matthias. Okay, I've mentioned about this, the Jurassic Park the game Tylosaurus skin already, Matthias. Frontier doesn't own the rights to Telltale Games' depiction of the Tylosaurus. They cannot use it. Rest area as a new building would be nice. The way it works is it helps the guest comfort on transport. You'd not need to build that much monorails and helps with the guest comfort in general. Yeah, so again, Diablo, this was something I suggested in my CEO video, and I think it would work well in the guest interaction free updates, like a rest area building. You know, because all that would kind of go hand in hand with each other and would make for quite a good free update, I think. We need a larger coral decoration because the current ones are tiny. Yes, so we can put this... I agree with that one as well. In this lagoon update, a second lagoon update, bigger lagoon decks. Also, for some more quality of life things, some major bugs getting fixed, better optimization for console and PC, and removing clipping from the past. Right, okay, so I agree with this one. I'm going to put this one under Fletcher's thoughts, because I also think this. Optimization in capital letters. The game is running really badly, and it seems like... Okay, optimization, actually... and bug fixing. Game runs... Oops. Game runs very badly on every system and on most hardware. Major optimizations are needed before end of life. In fact, I'm going to go one further and say that if the game is not optimized before end of life, so if they don't do any optimization, then I think come my end of life review, that's going to really harm it. Boats as a placeable vehicle. We don't actually have boats in the game as standard though, so they would have to be added. when it comes to placeable vehicles, I'm thinking about vehicles they already have, so that they wouldn't have to make new models or anything. They can just give us the vehicle that's already there. Not lagoons, the water brush. Oh, I see. It would be nice to get more fence varieties, such as lower fences you would find in a zoo, because in Jurassic World Evolution 2, having a compy behind a frickin' massive concrete fence is so ridiculous and laughable. Yeah, this... Okay, so let's again, let's take a brief break from suggestions, and let's look at this question from Untamable King. Why do you think we don't have lower fencing? Because I don't get why we don't have it. Like, why do we not have lower fences? Can anyone think of a genuine reason? And while you guys are coming up with ideas, I'm going to just catch up with any others' suggestions here. Making it similar to through race and use some cover predators. Because you have a restaurant would be good. Skins and some identified characters. Big fixing. Oh, did I make a spelling? Oh. Bug fixing. There we go. Imagine Frontiers just sitting here watching this and taking notes. Well, if they are sitting here and watching and taking notes, I would suggest Raptor go and watch Frontier go and watch my If I Was CEO of Frontier video, or 5 things Jurassic World Evolution 2 still needs to do this year video, or any of the other videos I've done theorizing about stuff that the game needs, because as far as I'm concerned, quite a lot of what I mention is things that I would think are 100% necessary. I tend not to be quite far off. Like, I don't tend to feel like I come up with radical ideas. Waterfalls. Well, placeable waterfalls would require a whole new game, because it's a whole new element that would have to interact with other placed water as Darker Day, because it's okay having the waterfall as an object, but you then need that water to interact with the other water you have placed in at both the top and the bottom of the plunge pool. So that would then require effects and sound. And the way water interacts now, I don't know. Maybe it's doable with the game as it stands, but I think it's highly more likely to be in a new game. Yeah, plus you have to think about how animals would interact with a waterfall. Acrocanthosaurus model needs to be removed and adjusted to increase the spine appearance, and Cryolophosaurus needs an update with its colorings and add more brighter colors for both patterns and skin. I agree there, Jurassic Tyrant. Problem with them doing that is if they change the models, it will break people's save games, which I don't think they would do. But I do agree that the acro model, I have never liked it as much as JPOG's acro model. So I agree with you in principle, but it would break people's save games, so they wouldn't do it. I don't know why there's lower fencing either. They could easily have it with the large ones ready in the game. Yep, they probably don't want to animate larger creatures stepping over them. That's a possibility, Monster. It could be the fact that it's easier to animate a smaller animal escaping a large fence than animate all the big animals stepping over a low one. Maybe that's the reason. It's probably mainly because of the nightmare being the pathing coding of the large animals. Yeah, it's like I say, Bug. I think that's a good probability. I mean, I don't know, maybe Maybe the option of having purely decorative walls. Like how the paths work before a wall. So you have like one object in the decorations tab, which is like a wall, and you could just select how long you want it to be. I don't know. What do you think of the idea of a body variant dino pack? Instead of adding new dinosaurs every time, why not adding new variants for older dinosaurs? Can you think of any suggestions for that, Diablo? No excuse why smaller fences aren't in the game yet. We got invisible fence, which is the only low fence in the entire game. I don't see a reason why we don't already have low fences. Yeah, it is probably purely an animation related problem. Lower walls would be hard because it would take loads of coding for large animals breaking out and would just make it harder for programmers to add in animations and interactions for just a free update. Yeah. I think that is a defining reason for it. Let's see. Triassic DLC. I mean, one thing I would say with all our expansion ideas, apart from maybe the novel expansion, I don't think the others are like 100%. Not 100% necessary, but trying to think about why Frontier and why Universal would also allow it to happen. Because the other expansions we've got, it's obvious because one's Malta and one's the Biosyn, it makes sense. And it would make sense to have a novel expansion. The other two, tenuous at best. For example, a further Deinonychus, a more accurate Tarbo, Lio, and Elasmo. Maybe? Did you ever notice that from a realistic standpoint, the invisible fence would do nothing to protect you from a Dilophosaurus? I mean, it should be noted, Monster, that a lot of the other fences wouldn't do anything for you because they've got big gaps. The only fence type that would make you safe from a Dilo is the concrete fence. So again, here, if you want realism for your parks, only ever have Dilos behind concrete fencing. Mosasaurus could be in the novel expansion as well as Hypsilophodon. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of species obviously in the novels that isn't in there. Ophnelia is another one. Hypsilophodon and Mussa. We need glass fencing. I mean, I would put this under new building set. Glass fences. New types of wall in general. Like I mentioned in my video where I looked at fence, so there were a few fences that are already in the game that we don't have access to, like the if you look at the Jurassic World Vet building, it has like the Indominus Rex film wall, like the really tall concrete with the big metal buttresses outside. Like, why do we not have that? That would be a really cool extra additional concrete wall type to have. I can think of some of the suggestions for a body variant back being Frontier style Tarbo, Novel Rex, Feathered Velo. Stegosaurus and Microceratus could be in the novel expansion. That's true. So a novel expansion would give us access to the Microceratus and Segi as well. I mean, so far the novel expansion seems to have quite a lot going for it. Dilophosaurus novel cosmetic would be an interesting addition. Yeah, I think I mentioned that, didn't I? I know, I put it down here as a novel, as part of the novel expansion. I'd suggest a feathered Struthi for a body variant. So, most of the body variants are a result of the films, and I don't think we ever see a feathered Struthi in them. God, I hate Microceratus. I hope it never comes to the game. Yeah, my thoughts on micro dinosaurs in general is probably going to be something I talk about in my end of life review for the game, because I think it's the one area of the game where they have failed. Goblins as an Indominus paddock and such. I don't think it's necessary. I think the the Indominus wall, I think, would be good to have, but specifically an Indominus paddock, I don't think they would place placeable paddocks like that. It's not really in the spirit of the game. Microceratus is too damn small. Yeah, exactly. Feathered Hypsilophodon and Ophelia would be... Yeah, again, I agree that'd be interesting to see, but you have to remember that this is primarily a Jurassic game. So adding feathered varieties of animals that are already there that don't have good cores of them is difficult to argue for. Feathered new species, a lot easier to argue for. Yeah, I agree, as Darkate. The problem isn't the small animals, it's the way the game was made to fit big animals and the big perspective. I agree. I hope we do get an expansion for the next DLC. Yes, so I'm actually... I would put this down here under my thoughts. So, next DLC must be an expansion. If the next DLC is just dinos, I'm going to be very disappointed. And regardless of what those dinosaurs are, it won't justify it. The next DLC has to be an expansion pack. We need something bigger than just species. Microceratus would have the same problem as the Compy. Exactly. I'd rather have Udanoceratops, Protoceratops, and Leptoceratops over Microceratus. Yeah, I mean, I think this is something relevant to discuss here, because it seems to a lot of people are on Reddit constantly begging for Microceratus, and I know Evo's done a video looking at it as well, and like how Microceratus could fit into another Cretaceous pack. I'm gonna call this the problem with Microceratus. And let's put this under here. So, Microceratus. I think there's a lot of problems with it. It's way too small. It wouldn't add anything truly unique or different. Also, the fact it's a film species doesn't mean it's necessary. I really don't like this argument that I've seen on Reddit that like, oh well, it was in the movie, so it absolutely has to be in the game. That's a terrible explanation. That's a terrible position to have. There are loads of animals that are in the novel that we don't have, but they're still canon to the novel. Just because it's canon in the film doesn't make it necessary. It's a terrible argument. Other better animals. Protoceratops is my big one for that one. Saitako as well, yeah. Plus, if you want something like Microceratus, you've got Hermanocephaly. Just use that. This Microceratus in the Jurassic franchise just looks like a drunk Protoceratops. Yeah, I also have to say that the actual like animatronic they used for it in Dominion was appalling. It was crap and rubbish, and we all know why. They didn't go with Stan Winston. They went with a completely unknown company that I've never heard of. It when I looked it up and looked at this company they got for animatronics, all their previous work was in a bunch of films I had never heard of, which tells you everything about Jurassic World Dominion. They went with the cheap option. Feathered Osteoraptor, unlike Utahraptor, a piscivore dromaeosaur, would be interesting to see in the game hunting for fish instead of flesh. Maybe. Microceratus is shorter than me, and that's saying something. Yeah, I think there seems to be in chat a general consensus that the Microceratus is ugly. Once again, if Frontier adds Microceratus, I will go to Kyodenic and ask him to make a mod that wipes it out of existence. That's harsh. Udanoceratops, which is the largest member of the Protoceratops family, could be added alongside its cousin Protoceratops. We need Maisie Lockwood as a new species. I would agree with that only if I get to drop her in the Mosasaur tank. I absolutely hated Maisie Lockwood. Just a pointless addition in Fallen Kingdom and a childish, miserable little brat in Dominion. Absolutely couldn't stand her character. Let's have a think. Is there anything else that I think is... Well, in here, let's discuss, because it's going to be mentioned, let's talk about this idea of a Cretaceous herbivore DLC. So let's open this up to you guys. Are you for or against a Cretaceous herbivore DLC? And explain why, if you're for or against. So don't just say yes or no. Tell me why you are for or against it, because I wanna answer this question. Oh, I can see chat going out the corner of my eye. Okay, let's have a look. So Diablo is against. So Diablo, your argument is better to focus on other time periods. T and J. Okay. I fucking hate the idea of a Cretaceous herbivore pack. A Jurassic herbivore pack would be 100 times better. Why, Barger? Herbivores is something I think the game generally needs more of, so that's kind of a yes. We do need more herbivores. Question mark. I want to break from a Cretaceous. Yeah, we need a break from Cretaceous periods. I'd rather not have a Cretaceous herbivore DLC. They should focus on other time periods. Shatungosaurus, Diabloceratops, Psittacosaurus, and Stegosaurus would be the species I would pick for such DLC. Yeah, Shatung I think is one of those that would be really cool to have added. I'm disagreeing because the game honestly has enough species. The game is lacking tourist attractions satisfaction. Yeah, so game has too many species already. It's an interesting point. I agree with you there, Untamable King. If I had to make a suggestion for a Cretaceous herbivore pack, these would be my choices: Shatungosaurus, Notharynchus, Ampelosaurus, and Microceratus. The thing is as well, Maisie could have been a great character. Her story was very interesting. They missed the mark in Fallen Kingdom and completely wrecked her in Dominion. I agree, Raptor. The fact that at no point in Dominion Maisie ever comes to terms with the idea that loads of people have died because of her actions is just revolting. Because we need better sauropods, prosauropods, and it could basically just turn into a Jurassic sauropodomorph pack. Yeah, I mean, I'm with generally most other people. I don't think we need any more Cretaceous species. I mean, I criticized Prehistoric Planet for this. Like, as good as David Attenborough is, and as good as Prehistoric Planet CGI was, like, the fact that yet again it was just focused on the Cretaceous period, like, come on, there are other time periods here. And arguably other more important time periods. This focus hardcore on just the Cretaceous period that Frontier are going for, I just think they're missing out on some much more interesting animals as a result. What I'd like to see instead of a Cretaceous herbivore pack is a defensive herbivore pack, featuring herbivores from other time periods other than the Cretaceous. I like the sound of that. I like a defensive herbivore pack. That sounds really cool. If a Cretaceous herbivore pack happens, I'm becoming Oppenheimer and nuking Frontier. It's just because the most famous dinosaurs come from that period. I mean, arguably yes, Raptor King, but I would argue that all of the famous Cretaceous species are already in the game. I think the only one that you could argue was missing was Utahraptor, which is now in the game. All of the other big ones, you know, T-Rex, Ankylosaurus, blah 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 blah, they're all in the game. So I don't think you can use fame as really a defense for it anymore. Triassic species pack, Phaseolasuchus, Plateosaurus, Desmatosuchus, Eoraptor. It's another good set of options for the Triassic. So let's put this down. So Phaseolasuchus. Plateosaurus. Desmatosuchus. And Eoraptor as another possible option. Bump. I'm actually going to provide what I would do in a Triassic period pack. So I would definitely do Plateosaurus. I think Plateosaurus is one of those big ones you absolutely must have in any Triassic period pack. I would have Tanystropheus, and I would have it work like the Nothos. Tanystropheus, because it's just such a weird looking animal, which instantly makes it unique. The fact that it is so bizarre in its look, and it's another species that could make use of those rocks. So Tanystropheus would be my choice there. Would I have Postosuchus? I don't know. I'm going to put Archosaur with a question mark, because I'm not sure what species of Archosaur I would have, because there are a couple of one in there, like Cosmatosaurus and Postosuchus and Phaseolasuchus. Something of that variety. I just think there's a lot of possibility in there. Eoraptor. I personally feel that the game has too many raptor species, so I wouldn't have Eoraptor. Would I have Pitinosaurus? I don't think I would. I think the problem with Pitinosaurus for me is that it's too similar to Dimorphodon. I don't think it would represent anything very, very different. I would say if I was going to have one more Triassic period animal, I would have Euparkeria. Firstly, because of its direct link to dinosaurs, but also because it would be quite an unusual and different animal compared to anything else we have in the game. So I would have Euparkeria. And I don't think Euparkeria gets sort of thought about very much either, which is again why I think it should be there. I'm just gonna source out some of this because it's a little bit untidy. Defensive herbivore pack would be Shatungosaurus, Maiagea, Desmatosuchus, and Cosmoceratops. I wouldn't have Shonosaurus. I would rather have Saltosaurus. That's simply because I think we have too many really big sauropods already in the game, and Saltosaurus is kind of a bit smaller in scale. I don't know when was the last time I actually enjoyed playing Jurassic World Evolution 2. It's getting a bit boring. Frontier needs to realise that more species won't really give people a reason to get back to the game. Yes, exactly. I mean, I've been making this point for the last year. This is why the next DLC has to be an expansion, because more dinosaurs will not make the game better. They could add in a DLC that would be prehistoric insects. So as much as I would love prehistoric insects to come to the game, King Giga, firstly, I don't think Jurassic World Evolution 2 is set up right for those sorts of animals. And second, I actually think something like prehistoric prehistoric kingdom. There are too many things starting with the word prehistoric in the dinosaur fandom. We've got like prehistoric park, prehistoric planet, prehistoric kingdom. I'm pretty sure there's a planet prehistoric as well. Prehistoric kingdom I think is more well suited to insect species, given they have that sort of self-enclosed cage that you could put things like Arthroplora and Meganora and Pulmonoscorpius and other similar animals in. Like, dinosaurs aren't doing it anymore. We need buildings, mechanics, and attractions. Exactly my point. I'm actually going to add that into there. Dinosaurs aren't doing it anymore. Oddly enough, you know, Jurassic World Evolution 2 has the problem that Jurassic World the park had in the film, in that the dinosaurs aren't bringing in the people anymore. We need more than a dinosaur. Interesting irony there. It might be controversial, but I think that they need to shift from a Jurassic World game that happens to be a management sim to a management sim that happens to be themed around Jurassic World. Yes, so I'm actually going to write that down. If I have, do I not have a pad of paper up here? I do. Let me just write that down, because that's a very good point, and I'm probably going to end up coming back to it when I do my end of life review for the game. Let's just put it here. So JWE2 end of life. JWE2 should have been a management sim just happens to be about JP, not a JW building game. With management elements. And that was... Sorry, I'm just going to take a note of your name so I can actually mention you. So that's the... that was the monster. So when it comes to my end of life review, I can make a note that you said that, because I do 100% agree with you there. The fact is, the game is not a management game. Frontier keep trying to sit on the fence and claim that it is, but it isn't. It just isn't. There's not enough management in the game for it to be a management sim. I'd be a little disappointed if the next DLC is not an expansion, but instead a Cretaceous Herbivore pack. Agreed. Retake on Triassic species: Phaseolosuchus, Platyosaurus, Desmatosuchus, and Placerius. Yeah, good species again. Only possible expansion I can see happening is possibly a novel expansion, because there are so many great attractions in the novel. Yeah, like I said earlier, I think the novel expansion is the most likely. I honestly can't think of another expansion that would be as likely, unless they did something like remaking the Secrets of Doctor Wu DLC or remaking Claire's Sanctuary DLC, or if they literally just put out, you know, actually that is an idea for an expansion. I'm gonna put it down here, but it's one of mine. See what you guys think of this. So the only other one that I think could be an expansion alongside is to do a Return to Jurassic World Evolution 1 expansion. So in here, let me go through this. Basically, it's entirely based around what, you know, bringing stuff from the first game that we don't have. So, bringing back old maps, re-engineered for the new biome system. Bring back forgotten or missing buildings. You can bring back missing hybrids in here. You can bring back missing decks from in here. Bring back old JWE1 campaign, but include new systems like the boat and the Expedition Center. Just trying to think, is there anything else from Jurassic World Evolution 1 they could bring back here? I mean, hell, they could even bring back the old tech system. So the old tech tree system, instead of having, which we have now, which is a tech tree research system, which I absolutely hate. They could just bring back the old research system where you picked what you wanted to research in the campaign. I think a Return to Jurassic World Evolution 1 expansion is something else that could work. It wouldn't be difficult for them to do. I think it would be quite well received. The only problem with that system is the only animals we're missing are those missing 3 hybrids. And I don't think we're missing any... Like, I don't think there's any variance skin-wise in the game from Jurassic World Evolution 1 that we don't already have in Jurassic World Evolution 2. Apart from perhaps the Indominus stripes. Volcanic eruptions would be a cool thing. That's definitely a Jurassic World Evolution 3 thing, I think. Make the night darker. I agree with that. The night is way too light. Yes, great idea. It would also be a good way to bring back some of the other signs. Yeah, exactly, like the missing signs from Jurassic World Evolution 1. Really bugs me we don't have them. I wish the ranger teams could also trank the dinos, like in Jurassic World Evolution 1. Can they not? I thought the ranger teams in Jurassic World Evolution 2 can trank. It's been a long time since I played the game like that, so I can't remember. I do miss my Rainforest and Vivid Spino skins from Jurassic World Evolution 1. Yeah, so maybe also, you know, bring back some classic skins. Man, Fletcher has ignored my request for lethal rounds in the game. Okay, Barger. So, oddly enough, if I go back to... that is saved, isn't it? Yeah, if I go back to home and go to Jurassic World Evolution 3 plans, and this massive spreadsheet that we were all doing, up here when it comes to security, we said that Jurassic World Evolution 3 had to have lethal rifle rounds. Now, one of the reasons why I don't think we have lethal rifle rounds is the game would have to be given a higher rating. I don't think you could give it lethal rifle rounds and keep the game's current rating. I also think it would probably, Universal probably wants to sort of move away from the idea of Call of Duty with dinosaurs. Even though I agree that lethal rifle rounds, better security systems should be in the game, I don't think Universal would allow something like lethal rifle rounds. It'd be great to get the big tree back from Jurassic World Evolution. Yeah, the big tree. That definitely has to go in. The big tree. I really miss the JP3 aviary from Jurassic Park. Yes, right. Thank you for mentioning that, Untamable. I actually think the old aviary could be really, really vital. So, if you actually compare the old aviary to the new aviary, the old aviary is about 2 times as tall. Now, if we could have the old aviary buildable in the same way as the new aviary, so have it as a taller option. Yes, exactly. You could have it for the quets, because the current problem with the quets is it's so big that it can't actually get into the air within the current aviary. It's always skimming the ground. But if you bring in the old aviary, which was twice as tall, it could actually fly. So definitely bring in the old aviary with the new building system. Totally 100% agree. Oh, and it's not like people are going to be gunning down the guests. I mean, Barger, when I played Jurassic Park Operation Genesis as a kid, I literally did try to shoot the guests with the lethal rifle rounds to see what would happen, just to see what would happen. So, people would do it. Yeah, the animation for the ceratopsian impaling the head of the dinosaur was the best animation I saw in JWE1. I don't think I ever had that one. But I'll include it in this list of things we want back. Missing animations. I mean, in here we can include the hotel, storm defense structures, the rock formations that were inside the aviary as a decoration. Oh yeah. And rock decks. I don't think we need a main battle tank into the game, Raptor King. I mean, somebody explained to me how in Jurassic World they were able to have access to a military-grade Gatling gun. Or minigun, to give it the correct term. There's no way they'd be allowed to have that. A 50 cal, maybe, but a minigun that you'd see on the side of a Black Hawk? Never. I think we need a locust feeder that all small carnivores and some pterosaurs will hunt. I mean, I would also put this in, yeah, I'm going to put this here as a Fletcher thought. Expanding the omnivorous dinosaurs and allowing more dinosaurs, well, actually I'm going to say more animals to eat from the insect feeders. Because in my opinion, Dimorphodon should be able to eat from them. Struthiomimus should be able to eat from them. Archaeornithomimus should be able to eat from the insect feeders. So I think that's also something else that should come. The problem with the JPOG entrance is, again, its copyrights would be held by the company that owned the rights to the company that made JPOG, because the company that made JPOG doesn't exist anymore. Because how else would you deal with the T-Rex if it escapes? Well, again, a military-grade minigun is not the answer. Jurassic Tyrant King, archways that say Devonian, Permian, Triassic, Jurassic, Cretaceous need both Jurassic World and Jurassic Park tombstone signs. Very tall rock decorations, more vehicle decorations. Yeah, I mean, more decorations in general are always nice. Oh yeah, Troodon is another one that should be... Yeah, all of the small carnivores, basically, should be able to eat from the insect feeders. Korean Noceratops as a better version of Microceratus. Yeah, I mean, as we were saying about, like, the problem with... Where is it? There it is, the problem with Microceratus. There are other better animals. I feel like we need the animatronics in the Camp Cretaceous Hidden Adventure Tour Ride and the roller coaster. Again, I feel like they've missed their opportunity to add anything else from Camp Cretaceous. They had a Camp... So this, considering my hate for Camp Cretaceous, this might be unusual for me to say, but I think the Camp Cretaceous DLC should have been an expansion. I don't understand why it was just a few species and a few variants. Why didn't it be... Why wasn't it as an expansion? Why didn't we get buildings with it? And why didn't we get... Because it seems like we are missing a lot from Camp Cretaceous still. And I can't help but think that maybe they should have held off adding Camp Cretaceous stuff until, like, now. Then they could have released it all as a big expansion, rather than releasing a couple of animals for it, was it a year and a half ago or something like that then? And now adding, like, the other stuff piecemeal, like the Novosaurs and the Tarbo in other packs. Like, it should have just all been released together as an expansion. Frontier did us dirty by giving us Big E.T. without Little E.T. Yeah, I agree, Diablo. They released it way too early. But I don't think there was necessarily Frontier's fault, because I think they were hampered by the delayed release of Dominion. We had to wait a long time for the Dominion content. So they had to put something out, and the only thing that was around was Camp Cretaceous at the time, so... Yeah, I fully agree, Diablo. The Camp Cretaceous stuff would have worked far better if they had just waited and released it as a big expansion around now. Because if they had done that, that would have solved the problem we have right now of, well, what likely expansions is there actually? A novel maybe, returning to Jurassic World Evolution 1 maybe, but beyond those, I can't really think of anything else that truly works. We are missing a Manticore Island. See, again, this is the other problem. I think people are latching onto this idea of a Manticore expansion because it's like the only other thing they could do. But I still don't think there's enough in there. Like a robotic Smilodon and one hybrid and an island. I just don't see that there's enough in there for it to be a worthwhile DLC. It'll make money because the Camp Cretaceous fans will buy anything with Camp Cretaceous on it. But just strictly from will it improve the game, I don't think it would. Jurassic World had holograms. Why aren't holograms in Jurassic World Evolution 2? That is an interesting point. I would guess it's probably because it would be a particle effect. I mean, I get frame rate loss when I go near the smoke or the fountains. So I'd probably get frame rate loss going near a hologram. I think it's simply another one of those elements that would be a problem for the engine, for the game engine to put up with. Plus, you only ever see those holograms in the first movie. Oh no, they do show up in the second, don't they? Briefly. A forgotten species pack with 2 new species of Gujaceratops and Segisaurus. And then 2018 variants of Dimetrodon, Concavenator, and Diplo. Let's just remember we have to be realistic. Exactly. This is the thing I've been saying all the way through this stream, actually. We have to be realistic as to what Frontier is actually capable of doing. They're not going to do anything that's going to be overly difficult to make or going to require huge amounts of recoding. The advantage of a Return to Jurassic World expansion would be everything is already there. They already have access to all of this stuff. All they would need to do is to re-engineer a few elements of it to add it to Jurassic World Evolution 2. Whereas something like the novel expansion, you're looking at completely new things that are going to have to be made. And we already know Frontier is in financial difficulty. They're letting staff go. They probably don't have the manpower to really do something huge. Like whole new attractions and buildings. Why we haven't the huge attraction building from the movie? What huge attraction building do you mean, Robert? Because the huge attraction building from the movie is the Innovation Center, isn't it? Oh, like the T-Rex Kingdom and Indominus enclosure. Well, because they're pre-made enclosures, and that's not in the spirit of the game. Not to mention they're tiny. They're actually really, really small. A huge amount of recoding, you mean like walking pterosaurs? So as Dark Day, I've already said, the pterosaurs have walking animations. they can already walk. You don't need to do loads of reanimation and re-rigging to make them walk as Dark Day. They can already walk. They have to in order to leave the hatchery. So all you need to do is give them a couple of lines of code to do that after they land. That's a lot easier than adding whole new buildings which you have to make from scratch. How difficult would 3 variants a ceratopsian that can be just a reskinned strike and a new small theropod be that hard to make? Yeah, I mean, that wouldn't be too difficult. Honestly, I don't understand why the Triceratops 93 hasn't already got its variations. The latest update for Jurassic World Evolution 2 added ranger teams have access to tour gates, but when you drive to the tour gate for the aviary, it does open, you just can't drive in. Well, that's disappointing. I would have also suggested a Lockwood Sanctuary expansion with skeletons, dioramas, and a building set based on Lockwood Manor. Yeah, I mean, again, I think the time for that has passed. I mean, a lot of Fallen Kingdom... Yeah, the only thing really taken from Fallen Kingdom is Indominus... is the species. If we realistically think about it, it is that it wouldn't be too hard probably, and we get lots of money from Count Cretaceous. Yeah. Jurassic World Evolution 2 2nd anniversary John Hammond statue looks like one person made it. So by seeing that, they probably won't add anything big. Yeah, the statue was kind of a representation, I think, of the year as a whole for Jurassic World Evolution 2. I think if I was going to sum up the year, it would be that statue. Missed opportunities all year to really develop the game in a standout direction. And every opportunity they had, they missed. I mean, take for example the release of the Aquatic DLC, but no free updates improving the lagoon. Like, no foliage brushes, no lagoon attractions, no new lagoon decorations. The the Aquatic DLC was released without anything lagoon related. What a missed opportunity. We all love the San Diego amphitheater. Maybe new enclosure tools with tribunes so we can imitate. It would be nice if the San Diego amphitheater looked different in other biomes. I agree with you there. It would be better if it didn't just say Jurassic World, if it didn't say San Diego on the front. And if the colour of the rock changed for the biome, because it looks a bit weird having it, like, in Canada, for example. And it just saying San Diego on the front. Like, they should have just airbrushed out the San Diego bit and made sure that the texture of the rocks can change. Because a modder has done that. A modder has introduced variations of the amphitheater using the rock textures of the other biomes. So it can't be that difficult. Well, the problem, again, as I mentioned when Matthias mentioned the Tylosaurus from Jurassic Park, the Game King Giga, is the copyrights for anything art related in that game would be held by Telltale Games. So in order to get access to that, Frontier would have to go to Telltale Games to get access to their art assets, because even though Universal owns the rights to Jurassic Park, they don't own the rights to the artistic representations that Telltale Games would have made. Those would have been those would be held by Telltale. So they'd have to go and get access to it. It's the same reason why anything direct from Jurassic Park Operation Genesis couldn't just be transplanted over, because the rights to anything in that game are owned by the company that made the game, which is now, I believe it doesn't exist anymore. It was brought by another company. Copyright is a very confusing and web of complicatedness. So as much as I would love to see the Jurassic Park the game Troodon skin and Tylo's skin in the game, there's no way that Frontier would be able to gain access to them. We got the zipline for the first anniversary of Jurassic World Evolution 2. I could think of so many things for Jurassic World Evolution 2's second anniversary. Instead, we got a small freaking statue. Yeah. I mean, I said everything I wanted to say about the anniversary statue when I made the video on it. Suffice to say, I think, it's demonstrating the missed opportunities of this year. I think the return of the greenhouse. Oh, I do miss the greenhouse. I'll put that in the return to Jurassic World Evolution 1 thing. The greenhouse. I do miss that greenhouse building. Right, folks. Well, we've come up with some interesting things, I think, that the next year they should do. I will fundamentally say that, you know, we need a new building set, we need an expansion, not a dinosaur DLC as the next DLC. We need more optimizations and bug fixes. And I think in terms of expansions, I think a Return to Jurassic World Evolution 1 expansion would be the easiest for them to do, and I think the most widely appreciated. Let's just put it like that. But yeah, I think we've all come up with some interesting ideas here. I'm going to stop the music. There we go. So there's going to be, next week, just go over what there's going to be. Dane is working every single day, so there's not going to be Paleo Pines on Wednesday. I might try and do a stream though, but don't hold me to it. Next week there'll be one Jurassic World Evolution 2 video on something, but it probably won't be a massive thing. I might just do like a roundup of the year, perhaps, for Jurassic World Evolution 2, and what bits I liked and what bits I didn't. And then on Sunday, like I said earlier, I'm going to do a stream from starting at the normal time, but lasting all the way past midnight in Britain. So it'll be a 3.5 hour stream, something along those lines, so that I can wish you all a Merry Christmas when that happens next Sunday. So extra long stream on Sunday, Jurassic World Evolution 2 video next week, maybe a War Thunder video on Friday, see how I'm feeling. I'll probably play Jurassic World Evolution 2 on Sunday next week and just do a long stream playing that. See if we can get Isla Sodor finished, perhaps, before the new year. And then, yeah, so in the week before New Year, there'll be a few other special videos coming from Tricloss. Keep an eye out for those as well. But until next time, thank you everyone for tuning in. It's been great to have a long discussion with you guys, and you've all come up with some lovely ideas, and you've all been well behaved, which is very appreciated. So thank you for that. And wherever you are, enjoy the rest of your day, stay safe, and good night.